Hello, today we're going to draw a dog with an attitude. First, we're going to start with a very light circle. This will be the shape of the dog's head. This allows us a guideline to know whereabouts his head is going to be placed on this piece of paper. So we start with this shape of his head. Next, we want to go ahead and bring in an oval for his snout. I have really loose lines right now. You can see that I have this loose circle and I have this loose oval. Next, let's go ahead and bring in his body. His neck is much longer, and it's just a long oval. That's all it is, just a long oval. And let's go ahead and bring in the hindquarters and the bottom part of his body. And this body here, just a very light circular shape. Alright, this allows us to know whereabouts this dog is going to be located on our paper. These are guidelines. These guidelines are just there for guidance. Now, let's go ahead and come in here with the eyes. You have a straight line right across his head. And of course, I'd like to draw in this line here. This is the curve of the head. It creates volume, makes it look more 3D. We have this line here for his brow, and his eyes. We're going to go ahead and bring in two curves. This one here is a little bit longer because this is nearer. This one's farther. Let's bring in his eyes. He's looking at us. He's got a devilish kind of idea. He definitely looks like he has an attitude and he's looking for trouble. Now let's go ahead and bring in a snout. Now we have this oval already drawn. Let's go ahead and darken part of this line here. And then it curves right down and comes around and turns right into his mouth. Alright? And notice it lines right up with this eye here. Give it a little curve at the end of his mouth. His nose is circular, so we'll bring in a very light circle here and then we'll just darken it and leave a reflection on the top of his nose. The dog's nose is usually wet and shiny. So this white right here allows this nose to look shiny and wet. Now let's go ahead and bring in part of the rest of his head. Alright, so we have the brow, his top eyelid, and it curves back at an angle. See that angle? His ears, they point up like this, and they have angles at either end of those ears. His hair, just a couple triangular shapes to represent his fur. And same thing here. We want to match this ear, but it's going the opposite direction. Just triangles. This line here, part of his head, will also be part of his body. Comes all the way down. We don't want to go all the way down. We want to bring in some stray fur hairs right above his front leg. Underneath his lip here, underneath his bottom part of his snout, we want to bring in one short line and one long line. This line right here, this short one, makes it look like there's a fold. This line here will represent the neck that goes into his body. And then we already have a circle made for the body. You can see that circle. And we're going to curve his body like this. And it's going to come at an angle here at the bottom because he's sitting back on his hindquarters. And we're going to stop right there. We're going to go right here to the front legs. This leg comes down. And these paws, you're going to have one paw, so it's like an oval. You're going to have another paw. And the back paw. And these are just light circles that we're drawing in here. Light ovals. And let's go ahead and bring those in a little bit darker so we can see them. Bring in his left leg along with his front paw. This back paw hides behind this front paw. It's good to have overlap. It creates depth in your drawing. Makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Now let's go ahead and draw the tail. So the tail actually is drawn from the back end of his backside, from where this angle is located. It's just a curve, and then it comes down, and we're going to create these little shaggy angular lines. Give the illusion that he's a little shaggy. I'm going to curve this up just a little bit more. We're going to bring in these little whisker dots. Darken this line here, and I'd like to create a little fold right there between the eyes and the snout. So far, this is what our dog looks like. Now let's go ahead and give this dog a shadow. Get underneath there, and we want to shade this in. It's so important that you give some type of platform for your cartoon or animal to sit on. That way they're not floating, unless you want them to float. But in this case, we're not going to allow our dog to float. Let's go ahead and bring in some spots. Hey, this is neat. We have some spots right here. I like to draw spotted dogs. And let's go ahead on the neck. Maybe a couple on the neck. In the background, give an indication of some type of background. This dog could be sitting anywhere. It could be on the grass. Could be in your living room. Maybe drawing some hills in the back. Totally up to you. This dog definitely looks like he's up to no good.